Hello, my name is Peter. I'm from 123 Sheets. I'm here to show you our Making Tax Digital for Accountants software. So, without further ado, let's have a look at a demonstration. So we're on the Making Tax Digital for Accountants page. We'll click on the Try Demo. Anybody can just go ahead and have a go at these things. So we're going to have a look at the self-employed demo account, and this is for accountants. The first page that the accountant will appear on once they've logged in is their default landing page, which they can choose by going into Setting and then Default Landing Page. In this instance, the accountant has set up the client's page, the client list page, as the default landing page. They equally might have chosen the deadlines page, so when they first log in they can see which returns are overdue or need filing. So on this client's page, which is you'd arrive at by clicking on that if it wasn't your default landing page, it shows client names, national insurance numbers. We can see that we can amend the details of the client, and we can either view or make submissions for the client. You can choose the client or find the client by just clicking on one of these letters to find a relevant client beginning with B, for example, or you can just click on all and list them all. Where you have more than 25 clients, there's a box that will appear here where you can just literally type in the name of the client and that particular client will just come up. You can add a client here, so if we click on that Add a Client button, we can see it's very quick and easy to set up a client. All you need to do is enter in a name and then put in a national insurance number. And you might decide you want to create a client access account by ticking that box. I'll explain what that is. So a client access account is where you have agreed with the client that they will be undertaking their own quarterly filings, and the client access account is a sort of a no-frills account for the client to undertake their own quarterly filings, but it doesn't allow them to do anything else other than the quarterly filings. So for example, they can't see or have access to HMRC's tax estimates, so they won't be calling up and asking you why there is an amount there that's different from what they expect and might want to have that explained to them. Also, it means they can't make an annual adjustment to their figures overriding the 4 quarters. It also means that they cannot close off the year. So those sort of annual aspects are kept aside for the accountant, which are available on the on this accountant's version. And that means that accountant doesn't have to worry about the accountant trying to finish everything off by themselves and not needing the accountant, because they're relying on the accountant to do what they do best, which is to review the client's data and make adjustments for tax, knowing the tax laws that the client isn't aware of. Maybe that's capital allowances, or what's revenue, capital expense, what's disallowable, what's not disallowable. And so for the client then is happy that you are undertaking that annual review of what they've submitted and making corrections. And of course, there always is going to be corrections. It's very highly unlikely you'd have a client that doesn't need any sort of adjustment. So clients are going to be happy that they're still using their accountant to undertake the annual year-end process of reviewing their data and overriding the 4 quarters with an annual submission, for example. The accountant obviously has the advantage that the client isn't bothering them throughout the year with various bits and pieces, and if they do need assistance with their account, obviously it's a paid-for account, so that means therefore that our customer services are going to be available to all of your clients. If you set them up with a client access account, so if they have a problem, they're not sure what they're doing, they get in contact with us and we assist them so that you don't need to be bothered about that. So in terms of the pricing for the client account, the client access account, they are being sold to the accountant at £20 a year per client, and the headline cost that is shown on our website for taxpayers is £40, so that's a 50% discount for the accountant, and we would imagine that the accountant might want to sell that on at £30 to the client. Therefore they're making a £10 profit on each client that they set up on that. And realistically, I would imagine that £10 sort of profit that the accountant will be making on each of these will effectively help to offset the accountant's additional costs of MTD ITSA. The client will feel happy because if they were to peruse our website on the homepage, they would see that they're getting a 25% discount. So they're happy because they haven't had to set up the account and they get a discount at the same time. And they're happy with the accountant taking care of exactly what they're already doing, which is the year-end bits and pieces. There's also the option, if you create a client access account, to have the client sent reminders. There's an intelligent system whereby we know which of your clients you want to have reminders sent by ticking that box or not for a specific client. And also our system is aware whether or not they have already filed a quarterly submission. So only clients that actually have an outstanding submission that hasn't been made are being sent auto reminder chaser emails from our automated system. That means the accountant doesn't have to get involved in chasing the client about whether they've made their quarterly submission or not, because the client is being reminded and chased by our software instead. Okay, there's a button. Oh yeah, so you just need, in terms of setting up the client access account, all you need to do is tick that box and put the client's email address in this box here. When you then click on add, the client will then receive an email about the account, and they will be able to set up their own password and get on with using the software. The little box that's down here, include in deadline management page, is the box that needs ticking if you have internal staff in your accountancy firm who you want to be using the deadline management system. So if we were to go back to or show you the deadlines page, the only clients that will come up here with listed returns to do will be the clients that you ticked that little box. And our system is intelligent. It knows which returns are coming up for which client, for the ones that you've ticked the box for, and our system knows which returns you have already filed on our software. So you don't need to be undertaking additional tasks, ticking other boxes to say I filed that one, because our system already knows which ones you have and haven't filed. It's just literally a case of going to the client, clicking on if you're adding a client, or you can amend the client details and just literally ticking or unticking that box. That's the only thing you need to take care of for the deadline management to work correctly. Just one additional note on that. Unfortunately, our software isn't aware if you have filed it elsewhere. So for example, if you happen to send one particular quarter actually by some other piece of software, you would just tick that box and then maybe write something in here, filed via X, Y, Z software, for example, and then confirm that. Because it's a demo mode, it's not actually going to do anything when I do that, but that's what happens there, and it will take that particular one off the list. And anytime, if you want to know how it was submitted, the software will be able to tell you that it was filed on some other piece of software. Okay, so we've had a look at that. So in terms of staff access, the account that I'm actually looking at is an administrator account that a manager might set up. And inside of this administrator account, the manager can click on user access and they can add in staff members. So here in this example, we've got 3 sort of standard staff members. They've been set up with an email and a password, which you can view if you want to. You can edit, delete the staff. So if I click on edit, you'll just be able to put in the name, email address, and set them up with a password. And you can decide which client they're allowed to see on the clients page, and you'll be allowing or not allowing access to clients for a particular member of staff, and it will affect which ones they see on their deadline. So that a member of staff will only see on their deadline page the clients that they have been allocated. And obviously it's a quick and easy sort of if you want to sort of click none or click all, and you can just tick individual boxes and just update that as and when you feel you need to. Let me see. So okay, let's just go and have a look at a client now for briefly. So let's just take Alison for a minute so we can go and have a look at submissions. So this is now drawn down information from HMRC. We can see that, yep, she's self-employed. We can see she's got on this is the to-do page. So this lists everything that the client or you or the accountant needs to do. There are 3 outstanding quarterly submissions. The reason why there's not 4 is because there is one showing in the history tab, which can either be amended, that quarter can be amended, or you can view. You can have a look at these on some of the other demos that we've got further down the page in terms of looking at how to make an amended return and view and all that type of stuff. And having a quick brief look at the HMRC calculations. That's just maintaining the client to make some changes to the client if you need to. Then obviously we've got the end of period statement down here that needs to be submitted at some point after the tax year end is closed. You can clearly see the due dates when they're due and the periods at the start and the end period for the quarter. Just a note about our licenses. So in terms of volume licensing, our licenses work on the number of taxpayers you've got. It does not work on the number of businesses. So for example, what that means is if you had a taxpayer who had on the one hand a self-employment, they also had a UK property portfolio, and they also had a foreign property portfolio, all of those obligations for all of those different aspects of ITSA MTD will all be listed here. So you'd have 3 sets of 4 quarterly filings to do, one for the self-employment, one for the UK property let, one for the foreign let, for example. They'd all just be listed here, and on the to-do page, as you file each one, they disappear off the to-do list and they get put onto the history list. So in terms of volume licensing, therefore, if you have 10 clients and each one of those had 3 self-employments, 2 different types of UK property lets, you'd still only need a license for 10 clients because it's for 10 taxpayers, 10 national insurance numbers for information that needs to be filed. Okay, so in terms of filing, you just click on the File button, and there are 2 ways in which you can make a submission. Either it's because you are using your own spreadsheet, in which case you'd use our default template worksheet, which you can either insert into your spreadsheet, or alternatively you can keep it as a separate worksheet, and just as long as you're transposing the figures across to our template and uploading the file to this website by choosing the file or dragging and dropping it here and then just uploading the data, you will then be able to make the submission. This button here, radio button, is for if you are using the bookkeeping spreadsheet that we have designed, which creates PDF files of submissions, whereby you be dragging and dropping a PDF file here, or going into your computer and choosing it there and then clicking the upload button and sending that off to HMRC. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening, and thank you for your time, and hopefully, if you're interested in our software, we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks very much. Goodbye.